that never sleeps welcomes the world's best sailors. Millions of dollars are on the line. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines, driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, raw passion, all action. When it takes, racing on water, racing with impact. Give it all, everything. Give it all, everything. We are racing. When it takes, we are SailGP.
Event 6 closes out the U.S. Triple Crown as the 2025 season of SailGP reaches the halfway point of what has been an exciting first half filled with parity. Now, the city that never sleeps welcomes the world's best sailors to the southern tip of Manhattan. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Welcome to the Empire State as the Big Apple once again plays host to the 12 international teams participating in this weekend's racing. The last event in the U.S. will challenge the team's skills and understanding of wind and current on the Hudson River, in front of Governor's Island, and in the shadow of Lady Liberty. This is the quintessential American sports town with 11 professional teams calling New York City home. Alongside Olympian Stevie Morrison and former Emirates GBR athlete Hannah Diamond, I'm Todd Harris. New York City marks the final stop in the U.S. for Season 5, and next up, the league turns its attention to Europe. Some very iconic sailing venues are on the horizon before the grand final takes place in November in Abu Dhabi.
It's been a wild ride in Season 5. Huge crowds and non-stop action.
Ow, that was tight!
5 different event winners and just 4 points separating the top 5. We're only just getting started, and there is so much more to come. The big news was Australia's incident at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix.
Oh! Disaster for Australia! The wing's fallen down!
Upon investigation, a structural defect was found in the wing and repairs were needed across many of the teams. The safety of the athletes is paramount, and it's been a Herculean effort by SailGP Technologies. Despite not making the final in San Francisco, Australia lead the standings after a consistent series, and they have big news on their ownership.
We're announcing new co-ownership with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a pinch-me moment.
Just behind in the overall standings is Emirates GBR's Dylan Fletcher. He's breathing down Tom's neck, a mere 1 point behind after impressing early on in the season.
And the Emirates winning moment goes to Emirates GBR.
Diego Bot in Spain are the defending champions and are well placed in third. They come to New York off the back of a win in San Francisco, but New York is a completely different racetrack. Can they continue that form and become the first team to take back-to-back victories? Peter Burling's New Zealand have, by their own high standards, been inconsistent this season. They'll be looking to reset, especially as they won here in New York last year. Canada's Giles Scott has made 3 finals in a row, a huge performance given that it's his first season with this team. They are well in the fight in their current form. France and Switzerland have both had their time at the front, and now they're propping up the mid-table. Red Bull Italy have showed promising signs of performance, enough to scoop an all-star buyout of their team. For Denmark, Mubadala Brazil and Germany Deutsche Bank, penalty points have made their scorecards a tough read. And while the United States join them at the wrong end of the leaderboard, this is their last chance to impress on home waters against New York's iconic backdrop.
5 events in the newly branded Bonds Flying Roos of Australia. Emirates GBR and Spain lead the season standings, with the Black Foals just 1 point outside the top 3. France, Switzerland, and Red Bull Italy are in the middle of the pack, with Rockwell Denmark, Mubadala Brazil, and the United States still on single figures. At the bottom, Germany Deutsche Bank are on negative points after being penalized for multiple incidents in Sydney, Australia. Right now, here is Stevie Morrison with a breakdown of the day's schedule of racing.
Well, we've got 3 races to get things underway out on the water today for the 12 teams. There'll be 3 more qualifying races tomorrow, hopefully. There's 10 points to win the race, all the way down for 1 point if you finish in 10th. There's 0 points if you're in the last 2. The points are going to accumulate, and then we go to a winner-takes-all event final for the top 3 boats. Now it's time to head out on the water.
We're here on the iconic Hudson River of New York for this weekend's racing. It's a venue which can be really hard to read. The fleet will turn left at Mark 1 and try to sail the shortest route to Gate 2, where they can choose to turn either left or right. We've got light winds forecast for today, and it will be all about keeping the boat moving and finding some space on the course. We'll potentially see reduced crew numbers on board, so figuring out how best to sail the boat with a smaller number will reward those who adapt quickly. Remember, the boats can only sail at an angle to the wind, and manoeuvres can be costly, so sailing fast over the shortest distance is going to be key if you want to finish first in front of the fans in the grandstand.
We have got 12 international teams ready to go racing here in New York City in the iconic waters of the Hudson River. And what a day it is as we are waiting for the breeze to fill in. Hopefully it will pick up, but the teams are ready to go, and it is race on as you get a beautiful view of all those teams getting ready and getting into the start box. All right, so here's what we're hearing down the water. Light winds on the course today from the south, around 5 kilometers to 12 per hour, and super patchy, which means different breeze directions, Stevie, and speed across the course. It's going to be really tough conditions for racing.
Yeah, it's really tricky. There's plenty of tide out there as well, with the East River and the Hudson River funneling the water around the racetrack between Governor's Island and Lady Liberty that we can see on the screen there. So in these light winds, the current's going to be really quite important. The F50s, well, they've got the 24-metre all-purpose wing up. We've got the big jibs to try and give that little bit more horsepower. And we've got the L foils back, the light wind foils, to try and give us a little bit more lift to get the boats up out of the water. So let's see what we can do. There's only 3 people on the boat at the moment as well, Todd. So that's a big change for the crews to have to get their heads around.
No question about it. Hannah, patience is going to be a key today. And, of course, getting off the start in good shape is going to be another critical point to getting a win.
Yeah, that's right. As always, finding clear space on the course is going to be important, but even more so today when the wind is really light and patchy. And as Stevie mentioned, some really strong tide out there.
All right, so we are 1:15 away from the first race here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. As Stevie mentioned just a short time ago, 3 races today and then 2 more fleet races tomorrow before the event final, where only the top 3 teams will compete here on the water. We are now 60 minutes away from go time.
This positioning is so crucial in the light winds here, Todd. There's big disturbed air off those wings, so if you get yourself stuck and slow out the back early on here, you can be really out of position. It's all about trying to get the boat fast at that red start line when it turns white at 0.
25, yeah.
So the final 40 seconds here on the Hudson as the 12 international teams of SailGP are ready to go in Event 6. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix, and everyone getting a little itchy, Stevie, to get to that start line.
Yeah, we've got a big bunch towards the favoured end, the uptide end of the line where the United States are sat at the moment, but the Rolex pole predictors out on the left-hand side of our screen on board the French. They've given themselves space to try and get it up and foiling. 16 seconds to go. It's going to be hard to accelerate if you're in the pack, but Quentin de la Pierre on board the French boat's got themselves foiling, but where's he going to fit the boat in? The Bonds Flying Rouge are struggling for a gap as well. Everyone's looking slow when the line's going to turn white.
Oh, Quentin de la Pierre had to bury the nose, Stevie, or he would have had a collision.
There was just nowhere to go through, but it's Diego Botín that's judged it right, and look at that, they're up and foiling on board the Spanish. They're going to roll over the top of the fleet and lead at Mark 1.
Yes. Enjoy, Joey. Little puff on. Nice warm breeze.
Really good acceleration from the Spanish there, Todd, because all the teams were right on the start line and they managed to pop the boat up on the foils super quick.
At mark number 1, race number 1, it is the Spanish, the winners of the last event in San Francisco. Get a little dip there, but Hannah, they're still out in the lead.
Yeah, they are, and it's so hard to sail the boat with just 3 people. Normally we have 6 people on board. They've been trying to keep everything really light, but those grinders are going to have to be working hard to allow the wing trimmer to keep the boat on the foils.
3, no, 2, 1. Turning.
And Stevie, I can't imagine what the comms are like. To Hannah's point, we go from 6. You cut the team in half now, and there's just 3 doing the work of 6.
Well, it's all the job share, isn't it? I mean, effectively now the driver has got to do the strategy, fly the boat, as well as steer the boat through these basic manoeuvres. So there's a lot of errors going to happen out there in the fleet, and how you minimise that's going to be crucial. Germany did a great manoeuvre away at Mark 1. They've managed to spit towards the inside, and they're well lined up for Gate 2. Big gains by Eric Heil, but the Spanish might be faster around the outside, and the black foils and Burling, well, they're looming large in the rear-view mirrors.
Ooh, penalties being assessed to both France and the Bonds Flying Rouge. That's not going to help their cause. So they slide back 2 positions, and now it is Spain, Germany, New Zealand, and Rockwell, Denmark, your top 4, with Mubadala, Brazil now in a top 5 position.
and leading.
Huge thing to think about here. Unique to this race course is the current, isn't it, Hannah? It's going from left to right across our screen. It's like a conveyor belt taking them up the course. Gives them a little bit more wind, but makes these mark roundings really tricky.
And you can see the Bonds Flying Rouge just really struggling to keep the boat foiling around that mark there. They're going to have to put in a manoeuvre or try and get the boat speed back up again. The Spanish did a really nice job to get around that mark, so we might see them clear, but it's going to be hard work for the Bonds Flying Rouge to get going again.
Still sounds pretty calm on board the boat there. We've got Kinley Fowler, Chris Draper there on the boat, Tom Slingsby, of course, driver. And, you know, this is a big moment for them, this new sponsorship, Bonds Flying Rouge, really great news for them, but they won't be liking what they're seeing in this race at the moment with the black foils foiling away in front of them.
US SailGP team threading the needle there, trying to get themselves into position. They currently sit in 11th, just one spot off dead last, and the Swiss holding that down. Emirates GBR also got a terrible start.
Yeah, way out the back, some of the big teams, that's for sure, isn't it? And I think one of the things in this kind of conditions is staying on the foils is just, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of meters for being accurate with your maneuvers, and I think that's where someone like Peter Burke, we see there a slightly shady manoeuvre there. I'm not sure what's caught them out. Didn't look like that was the best with work by the black foils.
Oh, yeah, nice heavy mix stuff.
So Blair 2, Peter Burling on board, Leo Takahashi. Now look at this, he's got to jump in front and get some grinding in.
31s.
Yeah, it's all about multitasking now. How you split those rolls out, as Hannah said, it's so hard to judge that, but we can see the black foils, well, they're already making good progress up the course, but you see the white lines coming off the marks there. That's because the marks are having to motor to stay in position over that conveyor belt that is the Hudson River.
Spain still out in front. New Zealand sits in second, Denmark in third, Germany's into fourth, and Australia somehow has moved themselves into a top 5 position.
Yeah, well, I think he did that really by staying calm, Todd. We saw yesterday that turning left at gate 2 was a crucial move. We saw a couple of the teams split away and look to try and find something special, but sometimes you just got to keep making the right move, and that's what Slingsby did. Yes, he fell off the foils, but he kept making the next right move.
And Australia picking up another penalty, so tough break there for the Bonds Flying Rouge. 2 penalties in the first 3 legs.
Yeah, he's gone out of bounds there, Todd, and of course, because they're sort of constricted by the pitch, the boundaries on it. If you go outside it, you're going to get a penalty, but if you do go outside it, you think you can get away with saving some manoeuvres, but of course, Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell, not one to miss that.
So as they head back up, is Spain out in front, New Zealand sits in second, and it looks like Rockwell Denmark will go into third, and Germany Deutsche Bank now in 4th place as they all opt for that right-hand side going closer to Governor's Island.
It's really interesting to see who the teams have chosen to keep on board as well. So the Bonds Flying Rouge, they've kept Kinley Fowler on, who's their grinder and jib trimmer, rather than their flight controller. So either Tom Slingsby is doing the flight control from the wheel, or Kinley's leaning back to help with the flight control from that grinding position.
I think Slingsby's always tended to do a lot of flying of the boat. I think he's one of the drivers that's quite comfortable when he has got to fly the boat. A lot of experience, of course, been in SailGP since the first season, and you know, he really is a big hitter, and he can take on that sort of multitasking role quite easily. But Diego Botín, well, of course, champions last year, slightly wobbly manoeuvre there, but they've been making good decisions so far. And you can see Rodriguez is back on the controls for them. As to Hannah's point, they've chosen to keep the flight controller, so he has to be a grinder to help get the boat up in the air. There he goes. He's now crossing the boat for a manoeuvre, so it's a busy day for Joel Rodriguez.
Great angle from the 5G by T-Mobile for Business, giving that shot inside the cockpit on board Spain, the winners of the last event. They are the defending season champions. And while we pat ourselves on the back for that great angle, we also want to apologize. We're not giving the helicopter view right now with the normal graphics we're used to, and that's because of the weather in the area, and we hope to get that up and sorted here momentarily. But this is race number 1, the first day of racing here in New York City, the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Spain got a great start, and they have not looked back. They are through gate 4. They have a sizable lead over New Zealand, Denmark in 3rd, Germany in 4th, and Australia up to 5th.
With this level of racing, Todd, really, if you're in 1st or 2nd place, you should be able to make that stick, because you can find clear wind, you can maximise the horsepower that Mother Nature's offering us out there. But as soon as you're back in the pack, well, then you are having to react to what the other teams do. You've got no plan A, you're on plan C, D, E.
Okay, trimming up. 3, happy back, and 2, on turning up, happy backrest, and stand by. Waiting for Razzie, and board's gone, TJ. So we get there, 2, 1.
Oh, this is fantastic.
And turning.
To be fair, Tom Johnson should be quite used to rushing around because he's just had a new baby in between the last few events. So Tom's probably glad to be back on the boat and not changing nappies.
So Spain makes the turn around the last gate as they head for home, as they will come in front of the fans at Governor's Island. They'll get an opportunity to celebrate this first win, and it will be the Emirates winning moment as Spain comes into view. There are the fans, the hardy fans that are riding out this weather system, and it will be race number 1 going the way of the Spanish.
Oh, wow, what a result for them. I mean, when you have a tough race like this, which can maybe seem like, you know, very frustrating for some of the teams, you always got to say it's the same for everyone. Everyone's had the same opportunity to put in a performance like Diego and the team, but they're the only ones that did. And I think it can be huge on an event like this. We see the leaderboard on the left here. We can see GBR in 9th, Canada in 8th. Well, they're 2 teams really from the very top of the leaderboard. They can't afford any more of these now over the weekend.
So Peter Burling.
If I end up low on the boom.
So what we're talking about there, they're having to work out how to do a manoeuvre because they haven't ever done it as a 3 before.
Oh, good.
Rockwell, Denmark coming through in 3rd place. So a great performance for them, Stevie. A team that we've talked about off air a little bit, how they've been underperforming. They need a big result here in New York.
Yeah, well, that was the back with a bang that we wanted from Nikolai Segerstedt, wasn't it? He left the regatta in Los Angeles with a bang into that turning mark, and he's come back here with a great result. So that's so good to see for Rockwell, Denmark, and they need it. Wow, do they need it. As to this team, in fact, Germany. They've been struggling, but Eric Heil, Stu Biffle, James Wabowski, I mean, that is a strong 3 to have out there on the boat.
Germany Deutsche Bank will come through, and they will finish in 4th.
So much fun.
Stewie Biffle. Well, he is English, so he's probably enjoying the rain as well, I'd imagine. He's getting enjoyment from everything out there.
Bond's Flying Ruse did a great job picking up multiple penalties, but somehow Tom Slingsby found a way to bring the fellas in.
I think most of the ones Tom got were probably what in other sports you'd call a professional foul, where you're pushing and testing the limits because you know there might be a bigger gain by making that little error early on.
I think especially in races like this, if you can pull off that manoeuvre, by going over the boundary, you can make such a big gain.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that is a really good point. I think, and for me, that's probably exactly what they did, really. You know, oh, Canada is looking a little loose on board the Canadian boat there. Oh, it's so tricky, though. I don't know if Giles Scott will have ever flown one of these boats. Not sure if Billy's on the boat or not, but it's just I hard for the crews. They're having to learn on the job at the moment, as we see Emirates Great Britain. They got another penalty there. I must say I missed what that penalty was for, but they're going to need to lose some distance, or they need to get themselves behind the United States, depending on what type of penalty it was.
It looks like Canada is going to literally drift across that finish line before Switzerland can reel them in. Just have to turn the wheel just to the right.
Slowly coming to starboard here.
Well, there's not a lot of wind,
no,
Todd, okay? And once you get on the foils, you start making your own wind by going fast across it. But if you fall off the foils, there's suddenly no wind again. So it's why it's so crucial to get these manoeuvres accurately, because otherwise you will just end up wallowing like Canada.
Actually had a good position at the start. We needed to be patient.
The USA will hold on for 9th place unless the Brazilians can get there. And look at this. Look how quickly, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, look how quickly Taylor Campfield's coming across, trying to beat Martini Grail to the line, not going to get it done. So it will be Brazil getting 9th. And the USA will have to settle for 10th.
Get one boat there. Stay with it, man. Nice. Yeah. Careful here. Careful, careful. Yeah.
So one race complete here in New York Harbor at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. And just like we saw at our last event in San Francisco, it was the Spanish that end themselves on a high note and pick up the victory. We go now down on the water. Diego Botín and company. Diego, congratulations. First of all, what's it like now sailing an F50 with just 3 people on board?
It's quite hectic. It's not easy. It's also super puffy. And yeah, it got us a bit rusty. But yeah, it was good to do a good start and yeah, finish with a win.
Yeah, you didn't look very rusty at the start, Diego. Is there anything we should be looking for on the race course? Most people seem to want to turn left at gate number 2. Is that something that we should be watching for?
Yeah, there is definitely more current pushing up on the right side of the course, so a bit more wind also, so people are looking for that.
All right, Diego, appreciate your time. You guys are certainly going to earn your post-race meal with all the calories you're burning, so good luck in race number 2. Thanks again. Diego Botín and Spain, they get the win in race number 1. And second place goes to the Black Foils in New Zealand, the winners of last year's race here. Peter Burling and company doing a great job with just 3 of them as we check in now down on the Hudson. And Pete, tell us about the conditions out there. I mean, you guys have done so well in light breezes. We think back to Chicago. Of course, you won here again. But this 3 people on board has got to be a really different situation with your communication.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that light, that race. Felt like we foiled pretty much the whole way around. So definitely tricky 3 up. It's been a long time since we've sailed in this configuration. It's nice always having the extra people on the boat, but awesome way to start. Not the nicest conditions, as you can see. Pissing down with the rain, but fun racing nonetheless.
Well, Pete, it looks like a pretty tricky race course. I guess the current's something that maybe you're not used to in most of the venues we go to. Is that something you're having to adapt to on the fly?
Yeah, it was obviously a lot of tide just kind of flushing out here. So but that's what we've been training for the last 3 days. So it's probably a lot of the reason we're actually foiling, to be honest. That current generates quite a bit of wind, which really helps daylight today. But it's a fun racetrack. There's plenty going on. I'm sure off the back of this rain, you'll see the breeze crash again. It's pretty up and down this morning. So whoever adapts the best, and we're trying to make sure that's us.
Pete, appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Wish you the best of luck in race number 2 coming up straight away. So New Zealand finishes with a 2nd after winning last year. And you got to think they feel pretty comfortable on the waters here. They seem to have a little bit of magic out there. As we take a look at the highlights, Stevie, as always, Hannah, will start with the start, and that was the key. France looked like they had it figured out, but there was just nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, they were fast, weren't they? They had the Rolex pole predictor, but there was a wall of boats in front of them. They just couldn't get through, Hannah.
Yeah, that's right. And it's always tricky when you try and start at the bottom of the screen, the top end of the line, to try and find a gap. But you can see just here how Spain got up on the foil, sailed away from the fleet, and led really easily at Mark 1.
Yeah, it tends to be in this light winds. You can see the congestion in the middle of the screen there, and you see Germany there, and you see the Spanish out in front. They've got clear wind, they've got control of their own decisions, and it suddenly becomes a really simple racetrack to sail around. But once you're back in the pack, you come off the foils like the German boat there, suddenly it gets quite hard, and the Roos found that for themselves.
Yeah, they picked up a couple of boundary penalties, some unforced errors, and Spain made it look easy, to be honest, and came away with the win in race 1.
So the Bonds Flying Roos with their new sponsorship, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on board with them. And the Emirates fly time goes the way of the team finishing in 2nd place. That, of course, being the Black Foils of New Zealand. Peter Burling alluded to it. They found the breeze, Stevie, somehow, and they were foiling almost all the entire course.
And they were pretty accurate the whole way around, weren't they, Todd?
So let's take a look at the numbers. 5 maneuvers across the board at the top, and those are the teams that did the very best. But is anything else jump out at you, Hannah, or Stevie, that really made the difference?
Well, I think, as you said, really, flight time is pretty key, isn't it? As soon as you're in the pack, it's hard. And then it's, generally speaking, all about speed, isn't it, Hannah?
Yeah, and I do think as well, the number of maneuvers, those top 5 boats only did 5 maneuvers. You can see that increases as we go down the pack. So a really important part of the racing.
So it is on to race number 2 as the fans continue to make their way to Governor's Island in the shadows of Lady Liberty. This is event 6 of season 5 of SailGP. Well, a new-look Australian team, the Bonds Flying Roos, are back on the water after that huge wind collapse in San Francisco Bay. It's been all hands on deck since then after a defect in the F-50s was identified. The SailGP technology team has been racing against the clock to make crucial modifications to all 12 wings in time for racing this weekend in New York City.
Disaster for Australia, the wing's fallen down. Massive incidents there. Oh my Lord. Oh, that was a huge moment. Let's hope no one's hurt.
A very scary situation. We're unharmed and we're all okay, but when something like that happens, all you think about is everyone going to get through this? And yeah, fortunately, we're all safe, and that's the first priority.
We take everyone's safety extremely seriously, so super happy that no one was seriously hurt.
I'm super proud of everyone here, the way we sort of dealt with it all, and our season should still be intact. Like, it's just how you bounce back.
The decision to cancel the event in Rio was actually pretty straightforward. We knew it would be disappointing to the fans and the organisers and all the partners and of course the Mubadala Brazil SailGP team. Once the issue was identified, it was a pretty clear-cut decision to make sure that was rectified and properly rectified across the entire fleet.
Once we identified an issue in the shear web, which is essentially the back of the wing of the main element, started working on a solution to rectify that across the whole fleet.
To give the back of the wing more strength, it had to be disassembled and the original supporting rear structure, known as the shear web, was removed entirely, ready for an improved design. To refit this section, new plates were bonded at both ends, ready for a stronger shear web. To make this modification, more layers of carbon fibre were laid up at 45-degree angles in 3 steps, cooked and then reinstated into each wing.
Definitely wasn't a given that we'd pull this off, so I couldn't be more grateful for the guys at home for producing the parts and sending it out to us, and the guys that we had on tour with us for the rebuild phase were fantastic and just worked non-stop. And then here, the last week in New York, of these final checks and assemblies, again, another massive task, way more than we normally do, and everyone's been superb. Just a good example of a great team effort, really.
So Hannah Diamond is someone who has sailed on these F50s. You got to feel pretty good that they've gone in and had a new wing design, make you feel a lot safer.
Yeah, definitely. And certainly once you get on the water, it's really important that you just concentrate on the sailing. So knowing they've taken the time to do a really great repair, the sailors can just focus on their jobs now and go racing.
And Stevie, a Herculean effort, not only doing the Australians' wing, but all 12 of the international teams.
Yeah, well, we saw Richie there who led the rebuild of these wings, and they've gone for a full belt and braces fix on it so that we shouldn't have any problems with them in the future. They're significantly stronger now. They may be a fraction heavier, but the gains we've made in strength are well worth that. So yeah, a really good effort. So disappointing not to have gone to Rio, but yeah, just to see him back racing again now is exciting, isn't it?
All right, we are coming up on just a matter of minutes until race number 2 kicks off here in the New York Harbor. This is event number 6, day 1 at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
Mubadala and SailGP making waves together.
Welcome to the official opening press conference for the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
5 years ago when we started this journey, and you could never really believe that 5 years later, and our owners Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, we're now partnered with an iconic Australian brand, Bonds.
From what we understand, there's a special photo shoot.
That's my first underwear photo shoot. It was not easy.
Oh, disaster for Australia, the wing's fallen down.
Obviously it was a shock to us all, and it happened so fast, and in the moment we were just sort of happy that everyone was okay. I'm very comfortable that the changes have made, not only to our boat but across the whole fleet, are the right ones, and that the wings will be a lot safer now.
We can get any kind of condition, and we need to be ready for a small course, as you say, for shifty conditions. We will have to have our heads out to pick all the right shifts.
And Tony?
To race in front of the New York skyline is going to be so incredible, and to have all the fans support us is going to be amazing. After San Francisco, we took a hard look at some weaknesses that we had within our team. We spent the 2 months look at teams who are better than us and what we can do to improve those things when we get back out on the water.
Can you believe it? Anne Hathaway has joined the new Red Bull Italy Muse Capital Ownership Group.
It's huge to have these investors that believe in our team. They promised us that we're going to have Anna Hathaway on the strategist role for the rest of next events.
That's 3 podiums in a row for North Star Canada, Stevie.
You've got to say they're looking like the team to beat.
The points are very close. We're not in a podium spot at the moment. We're on that upward trajectory. Hopefully that can continue. We're all working super hard behind the scenes to make sure that we're taking any little gains where we can. It's close at the top, and hopefully we can keep attacking that.
Mubadala and SailGP making waves together.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Well, the rain is falling, but the fans have certainly turned out in mass here for day number 1 of the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. Alongside Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, and Lisa Darman, and I'm Todd Harris, as we are coming up on 2 minutes away until race number 2 here on the Hudson.
So we didn't get a great look at where the gains and losses were on the course, but we have the wind heading towards Manhattan City, and it was quite light and fickle, but maybe a little bit more than we were expecting. We had 3 persons on board for the last race, and another thing in this course is that we've got some really strong current coming out from Manhattan out towards sea. So, Stevie, how does that affect the strategy on
Well, it's kind of like you're on a treadmill, really. So if by going down to gate 2, where the Australian or the New Zealand flag is right now, and if you take that left turn, you come out, you can almost see they're into the more of the main bit of the channel there. So the current will be running faster, a little bit clearer wind. Both of those things are basically giving you more horsepower for your F50. More horsepower is a good thing.
And we are looking for more wind as it could be building here as our event continues on. Remember, we've got 3 races for you today, and then tomorrow 2 more fleet races before the event final, which is just the top 3 teams on points. That's a great shot, seeing all 12 of the international teams out there competing as we come up on 1 minute to go as those teams get themselves into the start box. We saw Spain win the first race, New Zealand finished in 2nd, Denmark finished in 3rd, and the USA unfortunately finishing in 10th. All right, so now the dance begins. Stevie, I think you got to like what France did on that first one, or what France tried to do on that first one. Go to the back and just find yourself space. But as they came close to the line, Quentin Delapierre ran out of space. There was just nowhere to send that speed.
Yeah, I think the trouble I have with the French strategy, there's 12 boats. The line is pretty busy, isn't it? And you're relying on a gap arriving. So you're effectively hoping a little bit, aren't you? You're hoping there's going to be a gap. If there's a gap, you look like a genius. And of course, we'll call it the best start ever. But I liked what the Spanish did. They controlled their positioning. So looking for boats, we can already see the French in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen there. They're leading back. They're trying to put themselves in that close to the start, but with just enough room to accelerate. I like where the USA are at the moment. I like where Emirates Great Britain are. Spain and New Zealand, left-hand side of our screen. Spain way out the back right now. The black foils might get a gap into the line here. We're watching for this line to turn red. It's going to be so tight. The roos are coming in hot at the bottom. Slingsby's absolutely nailed it. Oh, that was a brilliant start by Tom Slingsby on the bombs flying roos there. What a start from them. They had a good first race, but they should lead at Mark 1 from here.
It's Australia, it's the Stars and Stripes, and it is Rockwell, Denmark going 3 wide as they approach mark number 1 here in New York City.
Crucial decisions now for these marks. If you're at the back of the pack, you've got to look to manoeuvre early and try and get yourself back in the race here. If you're on the outside of the wheel like Canada, like Switzerland, like Rockwell, Denmark, how do you pick your way back through the fleet when you turn onto the non-priority tack? There you go, Germany, first to manoeuvre away. That's no surprise. They're well near the back of the pack. Burling chooses to go straight. He's trying to find a bit of space later on the racetrack. But look at that. France, Canada, Great Britain, United States, Rockwell, Denmark, they're all slowing each other down. Slingsby's going to be down the road when he gets to gate number 2.
And look at this. The team that won race number 1 is currently back of the pack. It is Spain in 11th as they just overtake Red Bull Italy for 11th place out of 12. Meanwhile, up in front as they approach gate 2, the DP World Gate. We got a tight one here with the Bonds Flying Roos trying to hold their nerve against Mubadala, Brazil, and it's a tight one.
Oh, it's tight. Really tight. Too tight there. Too tight by Slingsby. He had to give them room to get around the outside. I don't know if there was any collision or not. It looked very, very close. He had to give room for the Brazilians. They were overlapped as they opened the circle. Be interested to see if we hear anything from the umpires there.
Talk about holding your nerve. Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil saying no sleep till Brooklyn for you, Slingsby.
This is the umpires, penalty Australia.
He had nowhere to go. Slingsby there, he's got the penalty. Oh, if there's been a collision in that, there could be penalty points as well. Slingsby's going to be fuming. Oh, he's fuming. Sorry if you're hearing a bit of industrial language out there on the water. Slingsby not happy with that decision. Got a slightly different view on things than Craig Mitchell had, I think, there. We're going to come back to a replay, though, and see what happens here. So you can see Slingsby's on the outside. He has to give room. If they were overlapped, which I believe they were, and it seems to be like Craig Mitchell, the chief umpire, believes they were as well, they have to give sufficient room for the Brazilians to get through, and that does not look like sufficient room to me. Oh, you might need a new pair of Bonds undies after that one.
Hannah, what do you think? Whose side are you going with here?
Well, I think the umpires have made it quite clear who they thought were in the right and wrong there. But for the teams now, you have to just settle back into the race as we watch it again one more time.
Doesn't look like a collision though. Crucial for penalty points for the Rouge there. That's just going to be an on-the-water penalty. Got to drop back behind Brazil. It's not really going to cost them very much at all. If they'd had a collision, they'd have been looking at penalty points, and that could have been a disaster.
So it is Brazil now out in front, Australia in second, France in third, Canada, North Star Canada into fourth, Emirates GBR in 5, Switzerland in 6, USA has moved back to 7th.
We had a phone call with quite a well-known soothsayer, Sir Russell Coutts, who suggested that he could see a race win coming from Mubadala, Brazil in the next few events. Well, is it going to happen in race 2 here in New York? I'd want to be getting my mystical ball off him if it was that case.
So it's leg 3 of 7. This is race number 2 with one more race still to come. Weather is expected to roll into this area, so we did have to push up the start by an hour or so because of the threat of thunder and lightning. And once again, it's Martini Grail going toe-to-toe with the Bond's Flying Rouge.
Australia must give them room again here, Stingsby. Well, that's a bit more of a sensible berth there. He's given them plenty of breathing space there. Mubadala, Brazil are still in the lead. Crucial manoeuvres coming up. Look how fast the Rouge are going there, though.
I don't think I've got to roll down if you've got space.
Got 20 till boundary.
Still fast, mate, all the time.
You can just hear all the information coming in there. Draper's giving him his options. Tash is telling him where the course is out there. They're all working together to get that boat going around as fast as possible. And when they get to the boundary, Brazil will have to keep clear of Australia.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but we went from 3 people on board in the race number 1. Now we're up to 4, Hannah. So how does that change the dynamics on the boat?
Well, it massively changes the dynamics, and people have swapped positions in between those races to account for that extra person. You've got an extra set of eyes, you've got an extra set of hands, so a strategist back on board. But it's still not easy to sail the boat with just 4 people.
But that Australian boat's fast, Todd. Look how fast they are. They went round behind there. They've both gone the same way. So when you've gone to a similar side of the course, you know you've been in a similar wind. Therefore, it's only the performance you're managing to generate from the boat, and that's just clinical from the Rouge there. The speed team on board that Australian boat's done an amazing job on this downwind leg, and they should be able to set themselves up for the left turn at the bottom.
Maybe an issue. That's Mark 1 on the bow, right? Yeah. Not a million miles off, but don't forget the tide here, yeah? Yeah.
Constant communication.
Coming up.
Speed on here, it's nice.
Let's go a little bit back.
Here we go. We've got the Brazilian team, Martini and Lee McMillan having a chat. We're on board here with Andy Maloney, the flight control. That's our T-Mobile 5G POV camera bringing us in there. That coffee grinder type thing you can see in his left hand. That's what he's flying the boat with. They're about to jibe the boat. They're going to turn it downwind, so he's having to control both boards. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. You've got to be a Game Boyer or something like that, haven't you?
Turning. Hey, angle, hold, stay there, Martin.
And you can hear Lee McMillan, the wing trimmer, just coaching Martine through the angle there. When she's standing on the old side of the boat, it's really hard to get that angle right, so you need the wing trimmer to help with that call.
Nice.
Well, Russell Coutts probably is going to have to wait another race here, because I think the Australians have managed to eke out a big lead as we get into that gate turn there, and it's now a short upwind leg before we head towards the finish. There's not a lot of race left here, and I don't see many overtakes. Emirates Great Britain, what a job Dylan Fletcher's done here, though. He's cut the corner on the Canadians. It's going to be a similar situation. Canada have got to give space to Emirates Great Britain as they enter the circle, and with this current, you've got to give an extra bit of space, because things are changing real quick.
So Giles Scott on North Star Canada stays clear. They get a little bit of a dip there on the left-hand side as Emirates GBR dips inside and takes that position.
Yeah, he tries to shut the door a bit too early then. If he'd stayed wider and then come at Dylan later, as soon as they pass away from the gate, Dylan has to keep clear of him. I think Giles got a bit greedy there, but he's managed to just about keep the speed on. Now Emirates Great Britain now, they have to keep clear. It's a tight battle all the way through the race course, but crucially, if we look at the left-hand side of the screen, New Zealand, Denmark, USA, they're still sort of struggling to get out of that mid-fleet battle. And in fact, Germany at the moment look like they're going to pass over the New Zealand team.
Hannah, the biggest winner in this race so far for me has got to be Spain. We saw them at mark number 1. They were in 12th place. They've now moved up to 6th.
Yeah, and you know, winning races is important, it's great, but actually making your bad race a little bit better is actually what makes it count when it comes to those points going into the final race.
I can't be building here now.
Yeah, I mean, this was...
for a second.
you know, a big race potentially for Spain. I think that what they've been doing is just trying to find space on the racetrack here as the Australians. We've got leg 5 of 7. There's not a lot of the race to go here now. They look like they're going to have this last upwind leg, head downwind and then across to the finish line to finish in front of the fans there. And it's a big lead, 200 metres. Remember, just a lap ago, they were behind Brazil neck and neck, and they've both basically gone the same way around the course. So what we're witnessing here is pure boat speed, which, given that all these boats are identical, that's the 4 sailors on the boat are making that difference.
Can we just say how grateful we are, because earlier reports, Stevie, was that we were going to have wins in the single digits. Now we've got boats up and foiling, and can we also be grateful the last time we saw the Australians was in San Francisco Bay, and they were dead solid in the water with a broken wing.
Well, that's right. I mean, and again, that goes a big shout back to the SailGP Technologies team, and Joel and his whole team have done an amazing job to make this thing happen and get us here. You know, I'm sure there were doubts as to whether we'd even be ready for this. So yes, there's a lot to be grateful for right now, that is for sure. But we were praising Spain at the moment, but middle of the screen, they're off the foils and they're struggling here. They're losing a lot of places very quickly.
So they've gone from 6th now back to 7th, in danger of going to 8th as they get the cross coming with US SailGP and Taylor Canfield as the Americans try to salvage something on this one. Remember, the USA finished in 10th in the last race, so they need a big performance here to move up the ladder. If they can get into a top 5, that would be huge. We always talk about these regattas. You can have one bad race. You can have an 8, 9, 10, even farther down, Hannah. You can't have 2.
No, that's right. And it really puts the pressure on for the rest of the weekend. You want to get these early race bank results in if you can.
I think what will happen is when you've got 12 boats in the fleet, that you will start to get bigger scores flying around, because there's just so much more potential for getting trapped here.
Walk on the takeoff.
There we go, Arno Sarafagis there talking to Seb Schneider there on the Swiss team, and they need a good result here, but these light conditions, quite like Lake Geneva in some ways, not with the current, that is for absolutely certain there. And, oh wow, what's happened there on board the Swiss boat? Oh, they've just turned the boat. They've looked to do an extra manoeuvre, but it just looked like it was quite a fast spin. It didn't look like the most calculated thing. I guess it was what they're planning to do. Just surprised me, that was all.
Happy to go down.
I think those kind of things can happen when you've got people not in their normal position.
Yeah, good point.
Just catches you out sometimes.
So the USA now has moved up to 6th place, so they picked up another spot as Spain has dropped back to 8th. The Swiss now not limiting their damages, but they go to 4th. Emirates GBR now in 5th.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of changes on this race course, aren't there, if you can find that bit of space. Spain are right back in it, but New Zealand, the black foils, in the sort of middle left of our screen there, back in 11th, and they were quite near the German boat. They're losing, they're not doing very well around this course at all, making a lot of handling mistakes, the basic turns. Every time you manoeuvre the boat, there's a lot of choreography to do, but they're really struggling out the back, and in fact, just have to see the Australians. They've got 2 more manoeuvres to do. They're going to do a right turn towards the finish there, and this one, well, I think they could even afford a couple of mistakes and they'd still win it from here.
So Tom Slingsby and the Bonds Flying Rouge, they are the current leaders after 5 events. Remember, we've had 5 events so far in season 5, and we've had 5 different winners. Will it be a 6th here in New York City, or is the Bond Flying Rouge newly minted program and colors going to change that and they'll double down? They won their last event, which was in Auckland, New Zealand. That was event number 2, but they lead the overall by 1 point over Emirates GBR and 3 points over Spain, the winners of the last event in San Francisco.
I'm staying on jib trim.
Saw a big mistake there by the Bonds Flying Rouge just at that mark. They lifted the wrong board out of that jibe, but I think they've got enough of a lead to hold it at the moment.
Well, it was me saying they could afford a mistake. I think I might put the commentator's curse on them a little bit there. Here we go, France, they've got to keep clear. Brazil was already in the zone, so Brazil owns that mark.
They've lost
France
the win.
have got to go around. Well, it's just, like we said, as soon as you fall off the foils, and it's so easy to misjudge what we call the ley line, the position where you turn to be sailing towards that final mark, because you've got this treadmill, so you think you're aiming at it, but then you're getting whisked up away from where you think you should be. So we can see there on board, that's the voice of Lee McMillan trying to keep things calm, get things going again. But yeah, you fall off the foils, and especially in towards Governor's Island where there's a little bit less wind, it's very hard to get back on. I think if I was Canada here, I'd push out way past that yellow line if I could and look to come in really fast at the bottom, and you might still get a shot at getting all the way back to even 5th place.
Well, we do have an Emirates winning moment, and it goes the way of the Bonds Flying Rouge. For the first time, Australia, under their new name, claims a victory here in New York City.
Denmark really toasted us for the jibe, didn't they?
Well, that last leg, Stevie, was not the most exciting racing we've seen, but it was effective, and they built up such a big lead.
Here, Martin.
I've got boats in H2 down there.
See Giles is commenting there, we've got boats in H2, so H2 means 2 hulls in the water, and of course that's just twice as much drag as you'd have if you're on the foil, so it's sorry, not twice as much, absolutely infinite amount more drag than if you're on the foil, so it's getting light here, and for Mubadala Brazil that was a great result getting a second place, but it's tricky when you fall off the foils. Canada are foiling, they're going to make a huge gain at the bottom here, potentially.
So Mubadala Brazil, first time they finished in the top 3 since Los Angeles, which was event number 4. And it looks like France will hold on for 3rd. So a big performance there for Quentin Delapierre and the French. But look at this. Here's what you're talking about. Look how fast the Canadians are, leaving everyone in their wake at 39 kilometers an hour. They may get Spain.
They're going to get all the way past Great Britain, I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh, they might get them.
There you go, Paul Campbell-James willing the boat across the line there. Pretty solid strategy, really. Push out as wide as you can get on the course. They're going to be going 2-3 times the speed of Spain. I think Spain might just hang on here. Another good result for Spain. Like you said, Spain were near last at the start of this race, so a great comeback for Botín.
They were dead last at mark number 1, and they salvage a 4th, so great job by the defending champions from season 4. Canada does come in top 5.
Todd, something did happen when the Swiss did that funny turn out there. Look, they're stuck in 11th, and I thought it looked at it was so tight at this bottom mark here. United States own the mark, but the problem is they've got no speed, and they're just going to be stuck as a roadblock. Germany could go round the outside here as well. Germany have got to give room to everyone. They've got to stay wide, but they've got the speed on.
We can. Coming up. Lost everything there.
Biffle there, talking him through it. He'll be happy with that. They've got round the outside. I think New Zealand could have maybe gone wider than they did. It's going to be a potential collision here. United States on the mark. Denmark are hitting them. Oh, this is a bit of a disaster. United States own the mark. What I mean by that is they're entitled to round it, and everyone else has to give them room. So Rotterdam Denmark haven't given them room by the simple fact that United States have hit the mark and they've hit Rotterdam Denmark. That's what tells me they've not had enough room. But it's just a disaster for Rotterdam Denmark there.
This is the umpires. Penalty USA. Didn't give Mark room. Go behind Denmark.
Tricky thing with these big wing sails is it's not like a normal flappy sail where you can really tell and get the flow over it. As soon as you lose the flow, you really struggle, and they're on this treadmill that's pushing them back onto the mark. Such a stressful position to be in here.
The other thing that's really hard is that those rudders are meant for high speed, so actually they're tiny for manoeuvring a boat at this slow speed.
Germany's going to come across, and they're going to finish in 7th, and the rest of the fleet is just trying to find some kind of breeze
happy to connect, get in position again.
to get themselves, because positions 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are still up for grabs. And Stevie, look at this. This is like trying to, stick a garbage truck in the middle of like 10 Ferraris. Don't scratch anything, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's like anything, Todd, to be perfectly honest. It's just so stressful for the US team, but they're round the mark now. They'll have the most wind. They're blocking the wind onto Rotterdam Denmark, onto Switzerland, onto New Zealand. New Zealand are going to have to try and cut up the inside and see if they can salvage something from this race. But at the moment, this is just painful. One mistake where you judge your final turns towards the mark, and it just costs you so much.
Probably going to need the wing down now. Yep. You got it, Hans?
Oh, looks like the Americans are going to yield that 8th position as they pick up a penalty.
Let's go. Try to go low mode.
H2.
It's interesting. I guess that they're saying the United States didn't keep clear after the mark or something like that. Race about to terminate, but it only means it'll go back to the position they're in at the last mark. So the mark just to the left-hand side of our screen. So these positions that we see here are basically where they were. So I wouldn't say exactly where they are, but that's the race terminated right there.
So the final boats come across as the race is terminated for these final teams to get across the line. But once again, it's the Bonds Flying Roos that win race number 2 here in New York. And the Bonds Flying Roos on that newly designed and newly minted boat get the win in race number 2. Tom Slingsby with 4 team members on board as we go on board with the Australians to talk to them. Tom, if you can hear us, congratulations on that win. It's been a busy week for you, not only the underwear shoot, but you guys had to get some racing in as well. How are you finding the conditions out there?
Yeah, the conditions are different, but not too bad. We're out here in the rain, but yeah, we're foiling at times, most of the time, so we're happy with that.
Well, Tom, you seem to be really leading into the undies sponsor at that gate too. It was pretty nerve-wracking in the commentary booth. How tight was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously hard for me to tell exactly how much room I left. I thought I felt I left enough room, and then where we had the incident was after the mark, so not the first time I disagree with the judges. It won't be the last, so yeah, we carry on.
Hey, Tom, I know it's been a busy week and we joke about the sponsorship. It's a fantastic thing, but what is it like now with the pressure that you've got to feel with Hugh Jackman and, of course, Ryan Reynolds being part of the team?
Honestly, it's as great as it is to have them on board and Bonds come on board. It's a new chapter for our team, but look, we know we can win. We've done it before. No one puts more pressure on us than we do ourselves, so we just got to do what we know we can do.
Tom, appreciate the time. We'll let you get ready for race number 3, the third and final race of the day as Bonds Flying Ruse. They get the win in race number 2. All right, let's go back to the highlights to start once again. Hannah, we'll start with you. And Tom Slingsby up to his old ways, getting a beautiful start.
Yeah, they had a great bit of space down at the bottom end and just extended away from there. But you can see Brazil coming around Mark 1. They end up in a really strong position by the bottom gate. So putting in that early jibe put them in a really strong position. But the Australians could sail a closer angle to the wind, which put them right in contention.
Well, that was tight there, though, wasn't it, Hannah, around that gate? I mean, Tom Slingsby, I must say I actually agree with Craig on that one. I feel that was unnecessarily close, but what it wasn't a collision, as we said, and we saw it was so tight in the race. Mubadala Brazil did brilliantly up here, but I think what's been the story of season for me is Australia are really fast, and this leg showed me that more than any other.
Yeah, they're definitely really dangerous when they get ahead, but it was really nice to see Mubadala Brazil up there pushing for the top, and I'm sure we'll see them win a race soon.
Well, they got it done, didn't they? The Flying Ruse there, and it was tight back in the pack.
How about the Emirates fly time? 89.6%. Tom Slingsby referred to they were foiling most of the course, Stevie, but North Star Canada and Giles Scott get it done, nearly 90% for them. Beautiful shot of the skyline in Manhattan as we crunch some numbers yet again. Look at Spain, just 6 maneuvers, Stevie, and they salvage a 4th on the overall summary.
And you know what? That's so impressive because they've done that to get through the fleet. Normally, to overtake people, you have to do more maneuvers. So it's really impressive they've managed to find a way around that track in clear wind by doing less maneuvers. But once again, Australia, fastest boat on the track.
All right, the standings look like this. Spain with a 1 and 4. That puts them at 17. Then you've got the Bonds Flying Ruse. They pick up the last race win. France hanging in there consistently at 6 and 3. And you kind of start to see the cutoff there, down to about 7. North Star Canada. And then New Zealand had a terrible last race, finishing in 11th place. The Americans have a lot of work to do with back-to-back 10th place finishes. So one more race today on day number 1 of the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix at the Rolex SailGP Championships. Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, Lisa Darman, and Todd Harris with you as the teams now get ready. Quick turnaround as we are trying to beat a weather front that is scheduled to come through the New York City area here in a matter of time. So that's why we are rushing to get the 3 races in as we are under 90 seconds to go. So we take a deep breath, Hannah. The athletes get a very quick respite and just a little bit of hydration, especially for those teams that finished towards the back when the race was terminated.
Yeah, and you know, getting yourself in position to be able to line yourself up for this next pre-start isn't always easy when it's light winds, but the boats are up and foiling now, and they should be able to get themselves nicely in position for this next pre-start.
Onboard GBR there, our T-Mobile camera, and I think what's interesting is, like as you say, when they're getting handed the drinks bottles, they are racing. The coach and the rib crew will be well aware of where they're positioned there to fit the routine that, in the case of Emirates Great Britain, Dylan Fletcher and Hannah Mills will have laid out as the plan for the start. 40 seconds to go. Looks like there's a bit of weather coming in. Should be good for a bit of wind for a while here. It looks to me like Switzerland and the United States are late. They're very late back. Well, Denmark well positioned, New Zealand well positioned. Lady Liberty, well, she's looking a bit damp right now. But the Bonds Flying Ruse teams are going to be struggling to get a good start from here as well. All the boats are a bit late in their routine here. Rolex Pro Predictor does sit on the Australians, but there's not an awful lot of wind where they are now. New Zealand, I think, are well positioned to have a good start here. 13 seconds to go. Favoured positions, middle of the line. All about timing from here. Watch out for the black foils. They're going to be able to wind it up. They're going to be able to get their timing right. How's he done it? Looking out for Peter Burling in the middle of the line. The line's gone white. We go, and it's a drag race between Rockwool, Denmark, and the black foils towards Mark 1.
Looking backwards. What's my rudder?
Australia, France and Canada and Great Britain and Brazil are going to be way behind. They've got to make something magic happen at Mark 1 because at the moment they are way out the back.
Right, stay with the team. Here we go. Heaps of rain. Biggest video, guys.
Here we go, mark number 1 with heaps of rain. Rockwool, Denmark on the outside, and on the inside it's the black foils. The Kiwis had a terrible last race. They're looking to bounce back. Remember, they finished in second in race number 1.
Really far.
Just see if you get a good start. Well, let's see what happens in this race, of course. But the Kiwis are very well set up now. Denmark well positioned as well. They didn't have a great second race. I think consistency on a day like this is so hard. You can just see a slight misjudgment in the start and you're out the back of the pack, even if you're Tom Slingsby.
Denmark sitting on a 3rd and a 10th in the last race, so they're looking for a big bounce back here. And there you see the Kiwis out in front, Rockwool, Denmark in 2nd, the Swiss in the mix in 3rd, and Red Bull Italy. They also need a big performance.
Yeah, Italy have had some boat troubles. They've had to restart the whole computer system in the boat at the end of that second race. They couldn't get to the finish, and it looks like they're going well. Oh, a little bit loose, putting on a show for the fans there.
On board now.
Or DJ Khaled, the hype master, will have loved that move by the Germans as they came in front of the fans there, but unfortunately not good for boat speed. Look at that, New Zealand, they're just gone here. He might be able to foil most of the way around the racecourse if he can keep it smooth.
So at the DP World Gate, it is Peter Burling, who we spoke with just a short time ago, who has the lead. This would be huge for their cause, Stevie. They could pick up a win here, and that would give them a 2nd, an 11th, and a 1st on the day. But you see Rockwool, Denmark, and Nikolai Sehested trying to reel him in.
Yeah, and I think if you're in Sehested's position, you're not desperate to overtake right now. What you are thinking is a 2nd is a very good result. Let's just make sure I don't make any silly mistakes now. Get fast, and the two of us can be 300, 400, 500 metres ahead in the next minute or so, and then we'll maybe think about a fight.
Hannah, we lean on you a little bit because you have raced in these boats and on this same venue. When the rain's coming down like this, how does that affect not only your visibility, but how is that affecting the wind that they're seeing out there and how they're picking up where the wind is, if there is any?
So there's two things at the moment. The rain's making it really hard to read the wind on the water, so relying a little bit more on feel than on just the numbers that are coming through that screen that they've got on the wing to use. But another thing is that the current has dropped right off. It's about to turn and change direction, and the impact of that is that previously, the current was pushing the boats upwind, which artificially increases the strength of the wind. That's now died down, so we can see the boats are sailing with one hull in the water as they're going upwind. So it's going to be a lot harder to get around the course.
It is, but they just need to get up to this next gate to reach scoring distance for the race. So with the little bit of current that there is left, New Zealand, I would have thought, will definitely make it up there. And you can see top of screen, look at Australia, they're just so far back at the moment, really struggling. This little grouping here, well, little grouping, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boats in it. It's going to be so hard to manage to keep any boat speed on. Italy might just scrape round Bottine. Well, we've seen he's the master of wiggling his way through these tight situations, but it's going to be so easy to get slow like the United States did at that mark in the last race. Tactical nightmare for the crews out here now. You've got to place your chess pieces. We've got the green and the red circles indicating green's good, red's bad in terms of right of way on the race course. But yeah, you're playing your chess pieces a long way early now.
Stevie, put your weatherman hat on. As the system has come through, we saw that big squall of rain coming through. A lot of times on the back end of that, it's great that the rain has stopped, but it also seems to suck out the wind.
Yes, so there's every chance the wind's going to drop. Well, I mean, it is dropping, isn't it? There's every chance it'll drop a fair bit. I'm surprised Giles Scott didn't go wider there. He had a massive opportunity to totally change his race around. Could have gone wide, dived in at the bottom. He was foiling.
Have to go to the other mark. Yeah, you want to keep speed here?
Still foiling on the Canadian boat, though, so that's a real positive for them. But I think he could have gone round on the inside. Anyway, if he gets round this turn, he's going to fly away there, the North Star Canada. No, he's going to have to do a couple of manoeuvres and they're going to fall off the foils. Well, they've made a huge overtake, so fair enough, Giles. Wasn't too bad. I think I'd have done something a bit different, but that's why he's there and I'm not.
Holding. All good. Spin it. You're fine. Fine, Siege. Fuck me.
Apologies for the
industrial language out there. Yeah, well, there's just this current. They're getting pushed onto that mark. You've got to give it more space. I don't know if they hit it. I'm sure Giles will claim he didn't. We do have the technology in SailGP that we can go up into the Oracle Cloud and find out whether or not they did, and I will no doubt get some information on that as the race progresses. But it was very, very, it was tighter than it needed to be anyway.
Well, it was not a high-speed maneuver, Stevie. This is not like a Denmark situation, no T-foils.
Trim me up now. Trim me up.
Wow, look at the bonds flying loose.
Yeah, New Zealand is still foiling towards the top left, top of our screen there. That boat way out on its own. They are about to lap everyone here, okay? So they've been up to the top. They're coming down to the bottom. They've stayed on the foils. Well, Peter Burling.
Look at this.
I don't know if we've ever seen anyone lap the whole fleet before. This is when the black foils are on fire, they're something else, aren't they?
This is an embarrassment of riches right now, Hannah.
That's right, but they are going to come back in contact with the fleet, so it's going to be really hard for them. They're not just going to be able to punch through and come out the other side, unless they can find a bit of a gap to get through.
As the umpire's penalty,
Peter Burling has been referred to as Harry Houdini several times, so
behind
potentially now we're about to see Moses part of the fleet coming through here. He's going to find a way through, potentially, the black foils. When you're going 3 times the speed, it's just like driving round a little fixed thing in the water. He's going to go round the outside here, no drama.
Deep here, rudder's on, mate. Rudder's on.
So as the black foils come through, you can just basically hear him saying, excuse me, pardon me, coming through, and he is not stopping for anyone.
He's a lap
keeping it on the
ahead,
foils.
He's a lap ahead, far out. That's something else. That just shows you if you can get foiling on these boats, you just can fly away, you generate your own wind, keep yourself going fast. And well, they found a way through there pretty well. That's got to be pretty demoralising.
Oh, there you go, the announcer curse, Stevie.
Well, he's done, okay.
He's got a whole lap to play with, though. I'm not worried about him not getting the victory, but that's...
Well, he's done, okay.
He's got a whole lap to play with, though. I'm not worried about him not getting the victory, but that's... Oh.
Denmark are not going to be too far behind, though, there, Todd. Look, you can see them just towards the left-hand side of our screen. Got the number 2 on. It looks like they will have to follow New Zealand and take the left turn, which is potentially, well, very good news for New Zealand. But for Denmark, as we said, I think they'd be more than happy to have a second place here. But they're, over a kilometre ahead of the other boats, they are.
Let's go wing down H2. Go for it, guys.
But there's a real battle. Look how tight it is metres-wise. 1,300 metres behind the leaders, but there's only 700 metres separating 3rd all the way back to 9th.
So if you're still trying to figure out who's in the lead, we can tell you right now, New Zealand is in the lead. They have lapped the field, and that's why they are back in the mix again with those other boats and still showing as number 1. Denmark sits in second, so pretty clear-cut 1 and 2, and then the battle is on positions 3, 4, and 5. New Zealand got the whole shot checked out. Denmark went with them, and then Spain at mark number 1, again, Stevie, like they did in race number 2. They started in the back, and they've moved themselves up into a top 3 position.
Yeah, I mean, both teams really doing a good job of working out how you play in this tight fleet racing situation, because there's just no space out there with 12 boats, but he seems to be finding it.
And Hannah, what we just saw in race number 2, there is a time limit on these races, so are you now thinking terminated race and just get ourselves as far as we can and get the closest spot we can?
Well, we are. The black foils have just brought it home. The Emirates winning moment there, Todd, for the black foils. So they've managed to save a day. They'll be loving that. I can assure you there's nothing that you can enjoy more than...
Talk about sneaking up on you. The Emirates winning moment sneaks up on us as we had no idea, well, I didn't at least, that New Zealand had one more turn to make, but they bring it home and they get the win. So race number 3 goes the way of the black foils, and now we have plenty of time to decipher where they are. So race number 1, New Zealand got a 2nd. Race number 2, they finished in 11th. There's your bad race. You can throw that one away. And race number 3, they get a win. So going into tomorrow, Hannah, they're going to be in a really good position.
Yeah, so we've got Rottwell, Denmark, middle of our screen. They're going to turn left now and follow New Zealand in. Then that's the first 2 boats, and then we're going to come back to a really good race from 3rd all the way to back 11th place, where there's going to be
2 different races.
Awful lot of points to be. Well, brilliant sailing by Rottwell, Denmark, and the black foils. You know, they thoroughly deserve that. They got a good start. They executed good manoeuvres, and they're going really well. But yeah, back in the pack, Spain, Brazil, and Italy could be huge races for them here. Italy, I mean, unfortunate in race 2, but they're up to 5th. And Spain, if they can turn this into another 3rd, I don't be surprised if they're leading overnight.
So here come the Danes, Rockwell, Denmark, approaching the finish line there at Governor's Island. As the fans in Adrenaline Lounge will get a great view of them. There you see Canada at the bottom of your screen. They're just coming through that last gate. They'll go up one more time and then make the cut back. But it will be Denmark finishing in 2nd place. Congratulations to Nikolai Sehested and his crew, 4 people on board. Remember, 3 on the first race, 4 on this second race, and 4 here again. So a lot of work for them to do, but a good finish. Denmark got a 3rd in race number 1, dropped back to a 10th on race number 2, and they get a 2nd on race number 3.
Yeah, and Spain up to 3rd there, top of our screen. They're turning around the bottom of the course. Mubadala, Brazil, good first day for Mubadala, Brazil. They've sailed very well in these tricky conditions. France, I kind of was hoping for a bit more from France here. They were starting brilliantly in practice, but Dilapia has not quite managed to make it happen so far today. A lot of racing left tomorrow, of course, for these teams. There's still plenty of racing to be done here, but they're losing a lot of points on day 1.
Some serious cloud cover over the southern tip of Manhattan as Spain is looking for some kind of pressure.
Okay, so they're trying to find some wind. It doesn't look like the Spanish have got an awful lot of wind.
Look at that.
It normally looks quite rock and roll bit on these F50s, but I think I'd rather be where we are at the moment because it looks pretty miserable out there. We're in the coffee grinder, in the flight controller POV camera there, brought to us by T-Mobile, and it's just so kind of cool to get on board and see the cockpit. We've got the foot pedals that bring things up and down. We saw the little control pad that lets Florian Trittel trim his wing sail. It's just all so detailed and high-tech on there. Oh, there we go. That's some serious resilience there. That's what we like to see. Spanish fans enjoying the action.
They do have the flag upside down, though. Just let them know. There you go. Vamos Gallos are looking for some kind of breeze right now coming off either Jersey City, Liberty Island, or Manhattan. They don't care where it comes from. They just need something to get them around that mark, and then they can head to the finish line in Governor's Island. Brazil, Mubadala, Brazil, they're heading down as well.
Yeah, these boats at the back here as well. France, 40 kilometres an hour, they are foiling. So are Germany, so are United States. So they've got a lot of pressure. If France can execute the next manoeuvre well, they could very easily be 3rd. But they're going to have to stay on the foils through this manoeuvre, which is easier said than done. So focusing on these 3 boats on our screen now. If they can stick the next manoeuvre, every chance to make huge gains. Expect to see France set up fairly soon. There goes the board drop on board France. They spin the boat. Can they keep it up on the foils?
Germany, Deutsche Bank also joined them. There you see the Americans.
France are foiling, they've nailed it, they're good. So they're looking to take a right turn and they could go right up through the fleet here. Huge for Contan. He may even try for one more foiling manoeuvre if he can and look for a left turn. Pretty tense on board all these boats. United States, they've stuck their manoeuvre as well. They've made the turn. They're going to be coming in hot here.
We got left turn here. Up 1 hit. Got him. Go board over there. Drop the board when you can.
I think you go left turn as well here, Taylor. That makes good sense to me. Spain look like they've got themselves lined up with the final turning mark. They're all trying to come to this mark in the bottom and middle of our screen here. Italy, they need to get into that yellow circle and not be overlapped. I think they might be safe, so Italy should be okay here. But Brazil, wow, Brazil have lost a lot of places. They got light in the middle of the course, fell off the foils, and that mistake's potentially going to cost them 4 points.
Looks like Spain's back up in foiling.
Yeah, Spain's there, and they're going to turn to the finish. So Spain are good for the 3rd. Italy are going to be pretty good shape for the 4th. And then Emirates, Great Britain, United States, France, that battle in the middle of the pack there, it's so tight. The trouble you have with all this, isn't it, Hannah, is you make a decision about 2 minutes ago, and that affects what you've got now.
Yeah, that's right. And especially with this rain coming down, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen. Also, with the current, you can see how much the Spanish have been pushed down towards the bottom of the screen. They're going to have to work really hard to sail a low enough angle, keep enough wind to actually get to the finish line.
Yeah, it's been a huge wind shift. If you look on the right-hand side of our screen, you can see the Roos are sailing straight down the course. As soon as there's as much weather activity as this, the wind's changing direction a lot of the time. And what it's doing at the moment is it's meaning that, in theory, you can't go straight up and down the course. Well, the Flying Roos can. And what Slingsby going to do? Is he going to try and dive on the inside? Oh my life, this is bold. He is brave. He doesn't have the rights. They've judged that well. I mean, that fair play. That was absolutely brilliant judgment by the Flying Roos.
So Tom Slingsby, fresh off their win in race number 2, the back of the pack, they have now moved all the way up, and they now are looking for some more points. As Spain brings it across officially, they finish in 3rd.
Good day for the Spanish, that. Tough day out here, really.
Content de la Pierre's got the French up and foiling too. It looks like they're going to grab fifth or fourth.
Yeah, France have done a lovely job again, just staying on the foils. Italy struggling. Emirates, Great Britain, there's maybe nearly for Brazil could be back in it here. It's all about how well you can launch the boat. Do you get a little gust of wind? Maybe the sailors will come in telling us there was a little bit of luck. We got a gust at just the moment we needed it. But I'm sure...
Yeah, I think Brazil's going to get that fifth.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it, Todd?
So Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil, they slide past Red Bull Italy and they go into fifth place. Red Bull Italy's still got to worry about Emirates GBR on their right-hand side. Do they have the speed to overtake them?
Great Britain are going to do a lot of sailing. I think United States are going to be a big winner out of this one as well. They're going to gain a couple at the end here. It's so tight, 56 seconds to go. But I think Brazil have finished.
Oh, the USA, look at this.
Switzerland diving through on the inside. So the Roos have gone from hero to zero on this one. Look at that. They've made such a good move on the downwind. Italy, oh, this is disastrous for Red Bull Italy. So painful to watch. They sailed such a good race. But the Swiss, here come the Swiss. Where are they going to end up finishing here? Who's finished? Brazil have finished potentially sixth place here.
Look at this. The US is so close to getting sixth.
The
Here comes Switzerland.
The Swiss are going to do it, Todd. Swiss are going to get sixth. Wow. Oh, how's your timing, Seb Snyder? Perfect time to make the overtakes.
So the USA will have to settle for seventh, but a good comeback for them. And now the slow crawl, less than a minute before the race is terminated. In 10 seconds, matter of fact, GBR trying to get across the line to preserve that 8th place.
This is why sailing is such a fun and interesting sport, because it's not just a fixed track that you just drive around or a 100-metre lane that you just run up. The whole track has just shifted dependent on when the weather's gone through, and it's different length, it's longer, it's whatever, and the Roos were in the race, then they're out of the race, then they're in the race. The poor Italians had a great race there, and now they've dropped right back in the pack. It's just, I don't know.
That was a race within a race, and all the while, somehow the Black Foils of New Zealand found the win, passed everyone with 2 legs to go, snuck up on me and finished the race. We were talking about something else. They were so far ahead of everyone else. So it was New Zealand and Denmark, really the class of the field on that one. The race has been terminated, so we will go back. As Stevie has pointed out, you get the last rounding of a mark before that race was terminated, as the helicopters now will peel away and they'll seek shelter, as we are expecting a big storm to come in here. But we did get the 3 races in, so that's a big thing. Much better conditions anticipated for tomorrow on Super Sunday here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. So the teams now will head back to the tech base area and dry off and assess what happened today and look forward to tomorrow. We go on board once again with Peter Burling and the Black Foils of New Zealand. Pete, we will not keep you very long because it is absolutely dumping down on you guys, but congratulations, what a day. Race number 1, you finished in 2nd place, not your best race in race number 2, but you end the day on a win. How important is that to have that kind of momentum?
Yeah, it's great to bounce back after that second one. Felt like we had a lot of opportunities and didn't really make it stick, but to win that last one. And I mean, you can't win these 60 on the first day, but you can keep yourself in the hunt, and that's acceptable.
Blair, if you've still got your comms on there, it must have been a pretty tricky day on the old wing trim. It's wet, it's hard to read anything, but you seem to be going pretty fast at times. Oh, turn your button on, mate.
I lost all your... Oh yeah, sorry mate, once you lost the... he's off. Perspective on everything. He was saying that it's quite hard, yeah, just actually seeing the breeze for those that know what we're looking at. You try and look at different gradients on the water, and as soon as you get a lot of rain, it's really hard to tell what you're going into. So you're just really flying by your seat of the pants a little bit. Super tricky day with the current. Whenever you got stuck outside someone, it made it super painful, but I feel like we got through the day really well, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Pete, Blair, thanks so much for your time, guys. Head on in and get dry. Again, New Zealand gets the win in the final race of the day. The Black Foils, remember, they won this race last year. Are they looking to do the double? Let's go back to the start again of race number 3, Hannah. Again, the start is critical, but this time doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stick. But the Kiwis, they checked out quick.
Yeah, for sure. And, we always say how important the start is. And for the boats in the middle of the pack, they're just making life so much harder for themselves. So it's great to see Rockwool Denmark and the Black Foils get away. And, from there, the Black Foils, there was no touching them.
Well, there was still a reasonable bit of breeze at this point in time, and when you're out in front and you're making your own decisions, it's easy to do accurate manoeuvres. As soon as you're back in the pack and you end up rushed or forced into something like Germany there, well, then it all goes a bit wrong and they all end up falling off the foils, you know. And these two, they kept it simple, one manoeuvre on the downwind, take the left turn, and all right, they did have some moments off the foils, but they're still progressing up the course pretty quickly. They've still got one hull up in there, as you see the parking lot that was gate 2 when you're back in the pack, because they're just blocking all the wind. And when it's this light, that little wind shadow makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Pete referred to it himself when he said the wind is so much harder to see when it's raining. So if you're back in the pack and you're trying to spot the best strategy around the course, then it can be so difficult to make that right decision and find any space on the course at all.
Yeah.
So the fans have stuck around, got a great show as the Black Foils get the Emirates fly time at 79.6%. Seems kind of low normally, Stevie, but in these conditions, that was massive.
Yeah, I mean, they're just out in front. They had the most wind and they managed to utilise that to keep themselves up on the foils really well.
So let's take a look at the standings after 3 races. It is Spain by virtue of their consistency. A first, a fourth, and a third puts them on 25 points. And then it is a tie for second with Rockwell, Denmark, and France. New Zealand 1 point back in 4th place. And there you see a group there at 17, 11, 10, and 10. So still an opportunity, but a tough day for Emirates GBR, the United States, and Red Bull Italy. So as we take a look at our Rolex Precision Athletes of the day, Nikolai Sehested gets it for driver, Liv Mackay for strategist, Florian Triddle on wing trimmer, and Leo Takahashi on flight controller. I would agree with most of those, wouldn't you, Hannah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Florian Triddle on wing trimmer, definitely. The Spanish have had a really great day on a really difficult day for a wing trimmer, so I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, it's tough out there, wasn't it? And I think, you know, Nikolai Sehested, he'll just be glad to be back racing, but to come out with the best starting average on the day is really, really good for him. Driver of the day, well done, Nikolai.
All right, let's take a look at the Rolex best time start. And look at this, once again, the United States, Stevie, they did a great job. You talked about this, they had that position, they held their line, they held their nerve, more importantly.
Yeah, and they absolutely nailed it. They got themselves that little bit of space in the middle. Something that Taylor's often very good at is that space finding in the starts, and they turned it down just 0.8 of a second behind the gun.
Well done, Taylor Canfield and company, as they look to Super Sunday to pick up some more points. As we take a look at the DP World fastest speed of the day, this is something I did not think we'd be talking about, and I never thought they'd hit 66. Hannah, that was masterful getting that high of a speed for Denmark.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to make the most of the conditions for that on a day like today.
Well, in between racing, there has been plenty of action behind the scenes. A star-studded ownership group taking over the Red Bull Italy team, led by Italian trailblazing businesswoman Asia Graziola Venier, luxury brand entrepreneur Gianluca Passi de Porposula, and 2-time Academy Award-winning actress Anne Hathaway. How about that for some heavy hitters? And of course, sailing legend Jimmy Spithill as the CEO.
It was a really busy period putting the team together from scratch. We really quickly secured Red Bull as title partner, which has been a partner of mine for a long time. But at the same time, we went out in the market looking for a partner to join me in the ownership group, and we had a lot of interest. But ultimately, we just found a great connection with both Gianluca and Asia. The three of us really complement one another. We've all got much different backgrounds, different skill sets, but we all operate in a really good way together and have a natural connection. So they've been able to assemble an unbelievable team of investors. You know, they are Italians, they're very, very well connected throughout the country, and I think that's very important for the Italian team. I'm really confident we're going to have some great brands appearing on the boat as we go through the season.
So the Italians on the last leg heading home, they will take third.
We're still the newest team. We've still got the least amount of hours and we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's good to know we've got those building blocks in place. There's no shortcut in sport, especially at the top level and especially in SailGP. We've got teams here that have spent, you know, almost decades together. But at the same time, we've got a team of proven winners. You look at Pruggi, back-to-back gold medals. Cole Langford almost won everything at SailGP since its inception. We look at some of the younger generational talent on board. We have to have confidence. We know we can go out there. We've got people that have proven they can win and campaign, but we've got to be realistic. You don't just jump into the top end of the sport and expect to do it from day one. We've got a process and plan in place, but as the newest team with the least amount of hours, we're already ahead of a bunch of other teams who have had significantly more time than us. and they're behind us right now.
A three-part docu-series, Uncharted, centered on Jimmy Spithill, was premiered in New York City earlier this week. The series, produced by SailGP in partnership with 10100, offers a behind-the-scenes look at the challenges and sacrifices of building a competitive sailing team, highlighting the evolution of the sport through Spithill's personal experiences.
Welcome to SailGP, the fastest race on the water.
We wanted to create the best sports league in the world. To do that, we needed one of the best sailors in the world.
Jimmy Spithill.
He is a legend.
He's one of the GOATs, but this league is about country versus country, and Jimmy's not an American.
Jimmy Spithill dropped from Team USA. Removing Jimmy was mind-bogglingly stupid.
Definitely wanted to go out and show him, well, have you really made the right decision?
Holy
And keep an eye out for Uncharted, which is streaming soon on Paramount Plus and our global broadcast partners, as well as the SailGP YouTube channel. Well, the rain continues to fall here in Manhattan as we bring a close to day one of racing at event number 6. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix, the Rolex SailGP Championships, and we are all set now for Super Sunday tomorrow.
Mubadala and SailGP, making waves together.
Super Sunday at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. It will be Spain, it will be Canada, and it will be France.
Pressing below.
1.5, 2, 1.5, and racing for now.
Canada closing.
No problem, we'll get these guys, come on. Looking for that line to turn white, and it's all about the timing. Oh, the French have nailed it, Todd. They're on the inside, they're fast, they're foiling hard. They've got the right of way, and I do not see anyone leading this French team ahead at Mark 1. Spain are going to have a lovely dive down at Mark 1 and expect them to manoeuvre away first here. It's got better pressure than these guys, I think. Well, France is good.
Want to hold below them?
Yes.
Okay.
We go left, no, Carolina? This race is way far from over. We're only on just coming onto leg 3 of 6. We're not even anywhere near halfway, really, and it is Spain who do split away. No surprise there. Constant attack for Botin.
What do you want to do?
You stay, Yowie?
Press now.
Yes, no problem. All good. We're clear. I think they're just across, but are they across the French? This race is all on. Canada and France are having to take avoiding action, and that's going to mean a big gain for the Spanish team up at the top here.
It is Spain that'll make the decision first, and they will opt for the left-hand side, so they will go closer to shore. Who will split the course and who will follow?
And no, rebuild, guys, vamos.
They set up, they're tacked.
No problem, we do our thing. Oh, Florian, we do our thing. Well, there you go. I'm surprised he's opened the door a little bit, but they weren't maybe ready for the maneuver there.
As they come across the line, no big shocker here. They won 2 races in the fleet race, and now the Emirates winning moment. The celebration can begin. Spain rules San Francisco again.
We're feeling quite confident with how we were sailing and how we were starting, and super happy to finish it off well in the final.
Mubadala and SailGP, making waves together.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines, driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Well, Asagi, day number 1 has come to a conclusion at event 6, season number 5 here at the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix. These are the Rolex SailGP Championships as we take a look back at the highlights from day number 1. Hannah, we didn't expect a lot of wind, but we got more than we anticipated, and we had great action off the line.
Yeah, we did. We're going back to race 1 here, where France didn't quite get a gap through to come through the fleet there, but Spain really got away at that first mark. Some really tricky maneuvers for the fleet to do in that first corner, but overall, a really, really tricky day for the sailors on board.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun out there, really, actually, Hannah. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was one of those things where it was a brilliant day to be an armchair sailor, because what we can't understand is, you see here, 3 on board in the first race, weren't we? And how much mental space, how much bandwidth, for want of a modern word, I suppose, how much bandwidth is being used up in just sailing the boat, that they make some tactical decisions that perhaps we're left questioning a little bit, but there was so much happening out there that it was really interesting. And then we got into this second race, and it was the Rouge. They got out ahead, and I think that was the story of the day as well. If you led at Mark 1, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, lots of changes as well to go from 3 people on board to 4 sailors for the next race. You've got to adapt really quickly.
Ooh, that was maybe the moment of the race there, as Martini Grail did not back down. And Stevie, Tom Slingsby, he will take those chances.
Well, he said he disagreed with Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell. No. I actually happen to agree with Craig on that one. And what's great is they do a debriefing overnight where the umpires and the sailors will talk to each other, how they each saw it. And it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to listening to Tom in that debrief.
So the winning moment in race number 2 goes the way of the Bonds at Flying Rouge, and then it was on to race number 3, and the rain came down in buckets.
Well, the Kiwis dealt with it well, didn't they? They found that space at the start, and it was the most dramatic example. The whole fleet bunched himself up fighting for that inside position, suddenly opened up the door, and when you're out in front, it's easy to sail smoothly, and when you're in the pack, as Germany showed us there, it's easy to make mistakes.
And we've seen it so many times before that front boat could just extend and extend, but the current was dropping off. It made it a little bit harder to sail the boat. So again, being adaptable, we saw the black foil sail round the fleet to lap everybody. I don't know if that's something we've seen in SailGP before, and take an easy win there, but really difficult for the middle of the pack, as always. And it's those boats that are in the middle which find it really difficult to pick their course around their way around the race course.
As Stevie called it once again, Peter Burling putting on his Harry Houdini hat, finding a way to get through the pack. As we take a look at the results, 3 races up, 3 races down. Spain, though, the most consistent as they get a 1, 4, and a 3. Remember, it's 10 points for the win, all the way down to no points for last place. So they're sitting on 25 points. That gives them a 5-point cushion over Rockwell, Denmark, and France. New Zealand still in the hunt, as are Mubadala, Brazil, and the Bonds Flying Rouge. And still might even think Germany might have an opportunity, Stevie, but there's still 2 more fleet races to go. That's 20 more points.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm seeing anyone from the Rouge up. It's all on. I do think anyone below the Rouge is struggling. They're going to need to win all the races. I mean, I'm sure it's it's definitely not mathematically impossible. It's going to be very hard. And that means for me, North Star Canada, Emirates GBR, what a disastrous first day. Peter Burling said, which as a coach you always say, you can't win it on the first day, but you can lose it. And I just wonder if North Star Canada and Emirates GBR will feel like they've lost it right now.
Well, the good news is, and there is some good news, of course, the rainbow coming out after the rainstorm. We are looking for more breeze tomorrow, less rain, as they are talking about anywhere from 24 to 30 kilometers an hour of breeze, sunny skies. So, Hannah, if you're a sailor, you get back, you dry off, you get cleaned, and then you get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be a completely different day tomorrow. The race course is going to feel much tighter just by virtue of the faster speeds that the boats are traveling at. So they're going to have to really reset overnight, and I think it's going to be a great day on the water.
So they got through the stormy day, and now it is all on Super Sunday. What an iconic setting. So on behalf of Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, Lisa Darman, and our entire crew, I'm Todd Harris. Day number 1 of the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix is in the books at the Rolex SailGP Championship. It is on to Super Sunday here in Manhattan. This is the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
They're up and foiling on board the Spanish.
Race number 1 going the way of the Spanish.
So much fun.
Oh, you might need a new pair of Bonds undies after that one.
Australia claims the victory here in New York City. Look at this.
I don't know if we've ever seen anyone lap the whole fleet before.